Hi, I'm going to be taking you through a quick demonstration of the metric stream SOX application. This application has the following key building blocks. It helps you to manage your libraries of risks and controls and processes, basically your SOX framework. It helps you to manage your risk assessments, controlled self-assessments, testing, certifications, and issues. It's built on a platform that provides the foundational services required, including access controls to what you need to see and act on, workflows to automate the whole process of assigning tasks to people who need to complete something, various browser and calendar-based views to visualize data, a reporting engine to help you to monitor and analyze the key metrics that you need to monitor and measure as a part of understanding your level of compliance, and an alerts and notification engine that automatically triggers notifications. It comes with a prepackaged set of roles and with a defined set of responsibilities. So typically these roles would be like a program management office role, or a chief compliance officer role, or a business user, like a process or a control user role, with access to different sets of entitlements. The names of these roles and also the entitlements and access controls are completely configurable. All solutions are built and come with a GRC foundation layer, which provides the package building blocks. So as a part of your framework, we can help you to manage your SOX libraries, including setting up your risks and controls, library of processes and financial accounts and questions and steps and procedures, and creating a many-to-many linkage between these. So these information sets can be set up individually, or they can be set up in bulk. Okay, so this is the login page of the application. I'm going to log in as a SOX PMO role. So in this role, you'll have an ability to manage your libraries and schedule your assessments and create templates and monitor the overall stack. Now this is where you can look at information that you've already created, like your process and risks and controls and your objectives and so on. And you can see how many of them are about to expire and need reviews. You can also individually load them, or you can load them in bulk. Let me take a quick example of a library object, like a risk that you need to set up. So here's how you can look at all your risks that are in the library, and let's say this particular risk around access control. And this is where you can go to manage setting up the definition and the language for a risk that you need to manage within your library. So this is where you can look at, you can have an ability to classify your risks and define who has access rights and maintain the relationships with other risks and controls and processes and organizations and so on. So again, other library objects are managed similarly, but this is how a risk can be set up, and this is how you can create linkages with assertions with your controls. And here's how the control form looks like. This allows you to define your controls and helps you to define and indicate whether it's a preventive or detective control, define the frequency of assessing and testing the controls, and who owns the control and who's responsible for managing it, as well as the relationships that you'd like to create with other controls like compensating controls and risks and processes and policies and so on. There's a data browser that allows you to visualize and look at the entire list of controls as well, and helps you to look at the relationship that you might have built. For example, if you have take this control AP014 check request form. This is how you can fill up the control, and you can look at the relationships, and you can also expand a data browser to that allows you to look at all these controls and the linkages, to look at the associated testing steps for that control, the processes that this control is linked to, whether it's the accounts payable process, and the risks that are being mitigated by this particular control. Okay, so moving on, talk about risk assessments and highlight how you can manage risk assessments within the SOX application. The SOX application provides you with a way to risk assess your processes and based on a set of factors and risks, and helps you to define which ones you need to consider in scope or not in scope for testing. Here's an example of a risk assessment that's been triggered. In this particular case, you're risk assessing a process, and you have a set of risks that you're using for the assessment. These could be many more. But this is, again, the framework that we use to help you to manage and complete your risk assessments, rate your risks, and rate a set of factors to help you to drive and arrive at your assessment scope. Let's move on to control self-assessments and testing. As a part of your self-assessments and testing, you can define the frequency for these assessments and tests. You can define and create a set of reusable templates that allows you to define the scope for what needs to be assessed and tested, and which organizations, which controls need to be tested, and the periodicity or the frequency with which the testing needs to be done, whether it's quarterly, whether it's semi-annual, or whether it's once a year. There's a workflow that automates the whole process of assigning and scheduling these tests out to users and end users, and allows people who are performing an assessment and or a test to upload the results of the testing, capture information about samples that have been reviewed and assessed, and send it for reviews and approvals. In case there are exceptions, in case there are gaps, there's an ability to trigger issues and actions and take it through the remedial workflow in order to resolve the gaps that are being observed in the process. So in this particular view, you can see a business user, somebody who's a process owner or a control owner, who is logged into the application to perform a self-assessment. On your landing page, you have a way to look at assessments that you can perform on controls that you own. So you could have 3 controls or 5 controls, and this is where you can look at those controls, and you'll have a quick link to help you to assess these controls. This is where you can respond to a set of questions, and you have a way to select the responses for these questions and provide your comments. And similarly, you can perform control testing. So this is where I can attach and upload my control testing results. I'll look at the methodology that I need to follow. I can test 1 or more controls, and I can provide guidance about the rating of the control and the design effectiveness, as well as respond to a set of testing steps and complete testing steps as a part of my control testing. Information can be captured about samples that needs to be tested, so multiple samples can be added, and the details across multiple samples can be provided as a part of my testing. Look at have some individual questions that we can respond to at the sample level if required, and attach documents, attach evidence, use evidence that's being attached into an evidence library, reuse evidence that is being uploaded into a common pool, and provide some overall comments and justification before completing my test. At the end, we can go ahead and send it to reviewers and approvers for approval, or reassign it in case we don't have the bandwidth to complete it. There's an ability to capture findings and issues and trigger the issue management workflow as well as a part of the overall control testing activity. So this is where you can go to capture information around the issue. For example, this is if this is a control failure based on due to documentation gap, you can capture that as a finding, and you can rate it as a high, medium, or low priority issue. Classify it based on a classification taxonomy, and define who's responsible, provide some recommendations, define who needs to be reviewing it and approving it as a part of the overall resolution process. So let's move on to issue management and remediation. This slide outlines the workflow that we have for managing issues and actions, starting from the ability to either manually or automatically trigger the issue, have these reviewed, define a set of action plans, assign these actions out to people, and then bring about closure. So this is where you can look at all your issues, and you can trigger new issues if required. You have a way to look at the distribution of the age of these issues across different reporting periods, and you can look at the distribution of your issues by organization, by rating. If I want to pick up an issue and look at the details, this is how I can navigate to the issue record and essentially capture and look at the key details that's been entered around the issue. Issues can be triggered automatically, or they could be triggered manually as well. So if you need to create an issue as a part of something you found within your program, this is how I could define, for example, a new issue and classify it and provide some guidance about the action that needs to be completed. Moving on to certifications, you'll be able to perform attestations and certifications as a part of your 302 and 404 requirements. So sub-certifications can be completed by the business, by process and control owners, and at an executive level, you can look at these sub-certification results, and you can perform and complete your certifications based on these results. Here's an example of a CXO login, where a CXO can view the results of the sub-certifications that have been completed and go ahead and complete their own certification. So this is how you can allow a CXO user to look at sub-certifications completed at different levels in the organizational hierarchy, and you can finally drill down into the details behind. Here's how you can complete a certification questionnaire, respond to a set of questions, attest to the overall control environment, for example, being in place, and you're being compliant with 302 or 404 standards and requirements, and sign off as an executive user. Finally, let's look at analytics and reports. Metric Stream SOX application provides a prepackaged set of dashboards and reports that helps you to look at the overall health and level of compliance of your program. This includes an overview report, program details, details of your testing, risk register, risk control matrix reports that allows you to look at summarized and consolidated view of the number of tests, how many have of key controls, how many have passed, how many have failed, how many open issues are there, overdue issues are there, and so on. Let's take a quick look at some of these reports. So the SOX program scorecard report allows you to look at an aggregated view of the results of your testing and passes and failures. The overview report allows you to look at, again, key perspectives, whether it's from a 302 or a 404 perspective. So let's take 404, for example. It allows you to look at the distribution of your testing of key controls across the quarters, for example, and allows you to look at the percentage of passes and fails. Your testing details report allows you to look at the details of your testing by organization, and you can filter to look at the results of the testing that's been conducted across various lines of businesses, which controls were tested, what were the results of the testing, whether it's a pass or a fail, and so on. There are status reports that allow you to look at the overall status of workflows that are in process within the application, whether a set of tasks are open, overdue, completed, and so on. Issues are overdue, for example, and you can drill down from any of these reports into the details behind it. In summary, this application provides you with a packaged set of reports and dashboards that you can configure, that you can share with other people through an email or export and print into a PDF file or dump into an Excel file, or you could automatically send out to people on a recurring basis every week or every month, depending on how you define a set of triggers and thresholds. This reporting engine is part of our package application and platform, and you can leverage these capabilities to help you to get started and get a sense of how compliant you are with SOX 404, SOX 302. Thank you.